So there's already no one in the body. There's already no self. There's already no person. Somehow over time, over apparent time, that can feel solid and real when there's a position here, it can just solidify, and then it really feels as if I'm the doer. I'm in the body and I'm doing, saying, thinking, feeling everything. It's amazing how absolutely real that can feel at a certain point. And maybe you can say in a general sense that's when a spiritual path can be of some use to that, when the contraction is so strong. Because I don't know if I said this before, I've said it to a couple people, but when I stumbled across the radical, uncompromising message a couple years ago, it just did not resonate at all. It was way too simplistic. How could this be it? There were way too many beliefs in these concepts that I wasn't good enough yet. Things needed to be done. I needed to control life. I needed to fix myself and life in all these different ways. So how could this be it? No. But I think mainly through like energetic releases in different ways, then there was more of an opening in the body, like less of a contraction. The sense of me was still there, still felt real, time still felt real. My whole reality felt absolutely real, but there was more of an openness when I heard this message a year or so ago, maybe a little more than that. And I could tell that it was the truth. Ultimately, there is no truth that can be spoken about. No words come even close to describing or pointing life. It just can't touch it in any way, ever. But I knew that it's just resonated. It just felt right. And so, from listening to the radical message for a while, there was this sort of unconscious, almost denial of the story. And in a way, that was helpful as well, to really see the absolute total non reality of stories. They're all mind made, they're all mental beliefs, concepts, ideas based in time that isn't real. It is the whole illusion. The energetic dissolving of all stories is the freedom that's beyond that illusion. So there is a beautiful truth to that. And there is a beauty in the deep resonance and even mental understanding of that. That's still a position, though, for the seeker. If the seeker is taking a position that the story isn't real, but energetically sometimes it still feels real, that is a suppression again of some sort. The identity can yet again take a position of this is truth, this is real. I'm not going to entertain what's actually arising in the body or in my experience, because there is no me. So that can become another trap. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, the identity will inevitably almost get trapped in everything. The spiritual path, you name it, anything. It's innocently, that's the innocent mechanism of it. It cannot really see itself. It cannot really see beyond itself very clearly. And that's okay. You are not making that happen. That is life appearing that way too. It might not feel like it. But there's an absolute innocence in it all. So when there is this recognition that, okay, what's actually arising is this shame, is this guilt, is this annoyance and judgment and self-criticism, or just criticism, that this is arising again, this neediness, this longing, this desire. And this is the time where it's seen that that too is innocent. That is conditioning. That is energetic patterns in the body. Because from apparent years of just functioning that way, that is how the self seemingly functions. It is once removed from life. It is a fight against life. It is a no to life. Energetically, that's all it is. There is no self. There is no person. There is no separate entity anywhere already. So here, sort of, you could say you're in between worlds, where a world where the story feels real. I feel real. I feel guilt, longing, neediness, alone, scared. And then another world where nothing is. Everything is empty. This fullness that is not separate or did not come to be, it just is completely empty. There is no movement in it. There is no change in it. All the change is an illusion. It's not really happening. So you're dancing in between these two worlds, and it can be quite confusing and frustrating. But what makes it so is if the identity is desperately still longing for a better something, it's still believing that if the person wasn't here, I would not feel this guilt. I would not feel this shame. That is an idea. What's simply arising is the neediness, is the raw vulnerability, the absolute beauty of the effects of seeking. So it's kind of like, this truth rings so true and it resonates so much, and there's a sense, these are just words, but you know it to be true, and yet the personal experience and all of the dynamics of it are still arising. It is only the self that would judge that this is wrong. This should not be I'm not there yet. I must not be worthy enough. I must not be ready. Why isn't this happening for me? All of these stories, all of these thoughts are not real. Life is never judging you, never looking down on you, never saying you are not there yet. Where would you go? What is there to attain? You are so free already. For example, here, there was a good amount of neglect here. Just as a story, I see it in total innocence in all perspectives. So I'm just telling this as it seemingly was. And so there was a lot of neglect here. And then there was a seeming identification as an independent woman, as I can do it. I need to do this by myself, prove that I can do it on my own, that I'm strong enough. In a way, there was a beauty in that. I don't see anything wrong with that. But in the shedding of that identity, when the body felt ready, when the body felt safe, when the nervous system finally felt like it could open up to that neediness that it suppressed so long ago, that I honestly did not know it was really there, and to what extent. But when life gave this opportunity to really show everything, when the time was right, when it felt right, when it felt safe to do so, this body completely opened up in all of its messiness. And I showed all of my neediness, and it wasn't mine anymore. It was just energy. It was beautiful. What is wrong with that? In a way, that separate energy is needy. It's longing for something. It's deeply longing for something. It's deeply longing for this. That's just how it appears. And really, the neediness here was so deep that it did take a while for it to really just be seen and felt, be seen and heard, to not be looked at like a problem again. Everyone just looked at it like a problem, including me. So when there's identification, it does seem like there's something wrong with that. There's something wrong with me. I'm not lovable if that is still here. So I must hide it. I must suppress it. The death of self. Is the death of this imaginary fight, this imaginary no to what is, to life, to simply what's arising. This is just a word, but there was immense just honesty. There was seeing that there was nothing wrong with whatever was, whatever is. This body and the energetic patterns came to be innocently because of certain things that may have happened. Sometimes I think we lose sight with how intelligent the body actually is. That it's able to protect us, it's able to take care of itself, it's able to protect itself. There is a natural survival mechanism built in, just like an animal. There's so many ifs and buts about letting go, about just resting, just stopping the fight. Because the self, innocently, it thinks that it really was in control. And it's so convinced that without it, things would absolutely be catastrophic. And energetically, like, if the shift is happening, it is energetically going into unknown territory. So there are certain aspects that could be, a bit scary just because it's unknown. The body's never been through that. But really, the body is so capable. It's always been. So-called nature never had a problem. It was always perfectly doing what it needed to do. We feel like we're apart from nature. We're separate from it. We feel better than it. Then we feel better than the people who think that they're better than it. Like, it's such a never ending battle of higher, lower, this, that, wrong, right, good, bad. Those are all made up ideas.